Hi everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Now today's video I'm going to show you how to make our Starry Night Cowl. Now I originally made this in a boucle or some of those bumpy yarns that a lot of people don't care for, and I really loved it though. But that yarn is discontinued, and so I thought I would choose a new yarn and update the pattern, and I love how this pattern turned out. It's super fun to make and it's super easy. It can be used as a cowl. You can scrunch it all up around your neck for warmth or wear it a little bit longer. And it has a natural flare at the bottom, so it can also be worn as a ponchette, just to add a little fun to whatever you happen to be wearing. It's, like I said, it's really easy to stitch up, and because we're using a bulky 6 yarn, it stitches up really quickly. If you need a last minute gift or a last minute thing to fancy up an outfit, this is for you. Now, if you want to make it longer this way, you can. And if you want to make it longer this way, you can as well. All of the stitch counts for the multiples and making it longer and shorter or however you want to adjust it is on the blog. And as always, the pattern is there as well. And you can find that pattern link down in the notes underneath this video. The yarn that I used for the Starry Night Cowl is Hometown from Lion Brand Yarn. It is a bulky number 6, and you're going to need about 6 ounces of any bulky number 6 yarn that you have on hand. Now I really liked this one. It has a really pretty shine to it. It's a good sturdy yarn, and this color is called Key Largo Tweed. And it's tweed because it has all these fun flecks of color in it. And I thought this was perfect for this pattern, and I do love how it turned out. We're going to be stitching today with an L hook, and an L hook is an 8.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a needle with a nice big eye in it so you can weave those ends in, and of course, a pair of scissors. Just a note on yarn. If you don't have this particular yarn, you can use any bulky number 6 yarn for this project. But if you don't have a bulky number 6 and you want to just use some yarns from your yarn stash, you can use 2 medium weight number 4 yarns and hold them together. And that also makes a really pretty cowl. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 70 chains. 70 chains is going to get you a scarf that's about 42 inches around. Now remember, you want to make sure you don't stitch your beginning chain too tightly, or the top of your cowl will be all puckered in. All right, so make sure that you stitch just a little bit loose. I've chained my 70 chains, and you'll notice that I have some stitch markers in here. And what I do when I have a long chain to chain, I like to mark every 20 chains with a stitch marker. So I have 20, 40, 60, and then 10 more make 70. I'll go ahead and pull those out, and I just do that to help me keep track of my chains. That way I don't have to keep recounting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to join our chain into a circle. And we want to make sure that we don't twist our chain. All right, so I'm going to come around here and join into that first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. All right, and so now we want to check, make sure nothing's twisted, because we're going to work around this chain. All right, so we're going to go right back in that first stitch and stitch a single crochet. And now we're going to stitch a single crochet in each stitch around. All right, so we go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. One single crochet in each of our chains, working all the way around our chain, and this is the top edge of our cowl. Now, if it's been a while since you used a chunky yarn and a big chunky hook, it can feel a little bit clumsy at first, but you'll like it. This project will work up super fast. All right, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to stitch one single crochet in each of our chains around until we get back over here, and then we'll join back to our first single crochet. I have completed stitching one single crochet in each of my chains around. I'm going to join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 4. This chain 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as this chain 4. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through your first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through your second 2 loops. Now we're going to chain 4. We're going to skip the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in this next stitch we're going to stitch a V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. And this is the repeat that we'll do all the way around. Chain 4, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and V-stitch, which again is a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in the same stitch. And we're going to repeat this all the way around our single crochet row. 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and V-stitch in that next stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. And we'll continue this all the way around and join back to the chain 3 of our chain 4 over here. So I have repeated V-stitch, chain 4, skip 4 all the way around, and you're going to have 14 sets of V-stitch, chain 4, unless you added to your pattern. All right, now here's my last chain 4. Here's my last 4 skipped stitches. I'm going to join to the third chain of that chain 4 with a slip stitch. Then we're going to go in that chain 1 space with a slip stitch and chain 4. All right, now we're going to double crochet in that same chain 1 space and chain 4. And so what our repeat is for row 3 is we're going to stitch a V-stitch in the next chain 1 space, which again is a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Now we're going to chain 4 and repeat. V-stitch in the chain 1 of the previous row's V-stitch and chain 4. And we'll do this working all the way around in each of those V-stitches. V-stitch in the chain 1 space, and chain 4. And repeat all the way around till we reach back to that first V-stitch. I have completed row 3, stitching a V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch from that previous row, chain 4, and repeat all the way around. And again, you're going to have 14 sets of V-stitch chain 4. Here's my last chain 4. I'm going to join to the 3rd chain of that chain 4, slip stitch in the chain 1 space, and chain 4. Now, what you're going to do is repeat row 3 6 more times. And that's going to get you a cowl or scarf that's about 9 inches wide. All right, so we're going to repeat row 3 6 more times. So I have repeated row 3 6 more times, so I have a total of 9 rows. And again, this is going to give me about 9 inches. And if you want your cowl or poncho to be longer, just continue to add as many rows as you want. 1 row equals approximately an inch, and that will help you with wanting to know how many rows you want to add to your cowl. I don't want to add any more to mine. I like mine this size, and so I went ahead, I've joined to that chain 3, but I'm not going to slip stitch in that chain 1 space. I'm just going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to tie off, and I'm going to put my hook in, pull that loop to the inside, and tie off to the inside. Now, when you tie off with a yarn that is really thick, it can be a little bit difficult. All right, so what I do is I sort of spread out the end of where I cut, and I fold that over my needle, and I have a needle with a great big eye. Now, if you don't have a needle with a great big eye, you just have one of these regular tapestry or yarn needles, what you do is you can spread this out and then grab some of it, weave this portion in, and then weave the other portion in. So don't panic if you don't have a needle with a big eye on it. Now, it's still important to go through fibers of the yarn and through stitches, because if you don't, you won't get a real good hold. This yarn does have a little bit of a sort of a slickness to it, like some of the other ones that are shiny. And so it's real important that you take your time and go through those stitches and fibers. I like to kind of go around a few fibers like that and then pull my needle through. Now, I cut mine a little bit short, but you do yours until you are satisfied that that's going to hold. Now, the other thing that you can do is to make a tie so that you can gather up one portion of your cowl if you want to. And so what I do is I just chain 100 chains. And I know that seems like a lot, but that'll give you enough to tie a bow. So I made my slip knot, and now I'm going to chain 100 chains. So I have chained 100 chains. It's going to make a nice long tie. I'm going to cut my yarn, tie off, and now I'm going to put a knot on each end so it stays nice and secure. I don't want my chain coming undone. And sometimes I do 1 or 2. I just want to make sure it's right up there on the end. Nice good hard pull, and then clip. All right, now I'm going to do the other end. There we go. And because this yarn is a little bit slippy, I think I am going to go ahead and just tie 2. There we go. Give it a good hard pull so it doesn't come out, and clip. And so now I have a tie that I can attach to my cowl. And the way I do that is I like it for it to be attached. I don't want it to fall off. And so I'm going to go about in the center and just run that tie through it like this. And then I'm just going to wrap it. This is the front side. I'm going to wrap it. Make sure it's even before I do that. There we go. I'm going to wrap it around the whole bunch of it and then come up here and tie a nice bow. That way, my tie, if it comes untied, I'm not going to lose my bow. There we go. So my cowl now has a nice bow. And of course, it's optional. You don't have to put a bow on your cowl. So now my Starry Night Cowl is complete. I can wear it as a cowl or a ponchette or just something special to add to any outfit. And it's a great thing to make as a last minute gift because anyone would love to have this cowl.